Okay, so this is part one of our midterm exam review. All right, so what I've done is you guys already got the review sheet last week. We did a lot of that in class work together. We went over it in class, and then I posted the key where? Where is your answer key posted?
Google Classroom.
In Google Classroom. All right, so you have the answer key to go back and compare to your review sheet. Again, just practice. That's how we study for math, right? It's just practice. So now what I've done is I've created this PowerPoint presentation. We're going to do it today and tomorrow. It gives you the same questions, maybe just in a little bit of a different format, okay? A little bit of a different angle on the same concepts, though, all right? So it's tailored, okay? So when we tailor something, we're making it more specific. We've made this a little bit more specific towards the types of questions you're going to see on your midterm, okay? So on the first slide, in the first example, we're dealing with rational numbers. So this is chapters 1 and 2. All right, we know that we had the integers, right? -6 plus 4. Well, I'm sorry to say, those types of questions will not be on your midterm, okay? So the good news is you can use a calculator, okay? Because, and of course, it's got to be your basic 4-function calculator, but you can use a calculator on the entire exam, but you're going to see questions like this. All right, like these 3 questions. And you can see that a calculator isn't going to do you a whole lot of good, okay? It helps you with the operations, but you have to know your rules. You have to know your rules for absolute value, for common denominators, how to simplify a complex fraction. All right, so go ahead and work through these problems. You guys can work with your teammates. Okay, so that would be fine. The people in your group. Check your answers, so work independently, but then check your answers with a neighbor around you, okay? And then if your team gets the answer right, you guys can spin the spinner. Positive and negative point values are over there. And then the winner at the end will just get a piece of candy on your way out. So that's how we're going to do it. Okay, so just take a few minutes to answer these questions. All right, so on the first one, -8.5, I wrote it as -8.5. Okay, you don't necessarily have to do that, okay, as long as you know that 1/4 is a smaller portion of a fraction. So I compared that to the negative. What's the absolute value of -8.25 though? It's just 8.25. But because the negative was on the outside also, it makes -8.25. All right, so now you have to be careful. Is -8.5 less than or greater than -8.25? It is less than. It's less than. All right, Hudson, did you get that right? Okay, so go ahead and go spin the spinner. Okay, now let's look at the second one as soon as he gets... Okay, so what did you need on the simplify the expression one? What did you need before you could combine it? Michael, what did you need? Common denominator, very good. But I need somebody from Team B. I need somebody from Team B to tell me what you got for your answer. Can anybody tell me? What did you guys get for your answer, Destiny? Maybe. I didn't change it to a mixed number.
You said simplify this.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Well, you reduce it. You'll reduce it. Now, on the multiple choice, you'll know, like, basically, I'm not going to give you both formats. So you'll know if it's neither improper fraction or a mixed number. All right, so we have -5 over 6. What did you guys convert that to? -15 over 18 minus 9 over 18 equals -24 over 18. All right, now you can reduce that to -4/3. All right, so -1 1/3 is correct as well. Most of the time, I would leave that answer improper. But again, because it's multiple choice, you'll either have -4/3 as your choice or -1 1/3. So you'll know which one to choose. All right, so good job, Destiny. Go ahead and spin that spinner.
You wouldn't change it to -1 1/3?
No, I just leave it improper.
But would it be wrong if you changed it?
It's not wrong. It's not. The entire exam is multiple choice.
What? That was so easy.
Yes and no. So I went through and I took the exam, and all of the common mistakes that you would make, those are answer choices as well. So yeah. So it's not going to be like clear as day. Like, you have to be very confident. And there are some questions that an answer choice is none of the above. So you have to be confident in your answer, because the answer choices you see, none of them will be the correct answer. So there's a couple of those as well. So all that to say, you still have to be confident in your answers. You absolutely will not be able to just look at this test and guess. You have to know how to do the work in order to get the right answer. All right, so now we have 3/4. Did you guys write them horizontally? Divided by 21 over 32. Okay, so we pull out a 50. We pull out a complex fraction, and now we have to do what method? KFC. We got to do the KFC. All right, so we get 3/4 times 32 over 21. Did you guys cross cancel? Quite a bit, right? It's nice when we can cross cancel so much. 4 and 32 cross cancels to 8. Okay, and I get 8 over 7. And again, we're just going to leave that answer improper. We're going to leave that answer improper. Did you get it? Okay, go ahead and go spin, Haley. I could tell your bottom number, but I couldn't see the top number. All right, so 8 over 7. Okay, next screen. Okay, so now we're going to kind of transition into chapter 3. Okay, and in chapter 3, if you remember, we did a lot of combining like terms, simplifying expressions, and factoring. Okay, so it really was kind of that starting point to get us into chapter 4, where we started solving equations. All right, so when I simplify an expression, I'm simply combining like terms. All right, there's not necessarily an answer. Hopefully you remember your rule if you're subtracting expressions. Okay, so remember your rule. All right, and go ahead and try to work these two problems. Okay, so, all right, Team B, did anybody get the answer before I go over it on Team B? Zoe, what'd you get? On the first one, simplify. Plus, you said 3? Okay, she is correct. All right, so did you change the negative to a positive? Okay, did you make 4m negative and 8 positive? So my rule says I must reverse, okay, my subtraction, make it addition, and then all of my signs in my second expression after that become the opposite. All right, so now I can combine like terms. Negative 4m minus 4m minus 5 plus 8. Okay? Say, well, Miss Kinder, do I have to show how that work? No, you don't. But the more work you show, the more likely you are to get the answer right. Okay? So that's how she got negative 8m plus 3. Okay? All right. Zoe, come spin the wheel. So to factor the GCF, my suggestion to you would be to start with the smallest number in the expression and see if it's divisible into the other one. Because you know that the greatest common factor can't be bigger than the smallest number. Does 18 go into 108 evenly?
Yeah.
Okay, so 18 is my GCF. Now if it doesn't, then you have to kind of scale the factors backwards, go to 9, and then, keep going down. But 18 is the biggest number. Okay, does everybody see how I did that? I took the smaller of the two, which was 18, and said, okay, well, is that number divisible? And it was. So now, how do I figure out what's left inside of the parentheses? How do I figure that out? I divide the original divided by the number that I factored out. Well, what's 18 divided by 18? 1, and then you have the x. Okay, so x. Now, what's negative, you got to remember your signs. What's negative 108 divided by 18? Okay, negative 6. So this is the factor. So this would be one of your answer choices, okay? I would also, a common mistake would be to pull out a 9. And then you would have 2x minus 12 left in parentheses. But you know that this one, so this might be option A, and this might be option B on your midterm. But option B is not correct, and you should see there are other common factors left inside the parentheses. Okay? So that's how you can figure out that option B is not the correct choice. Daniel?
Do you have to put the 1?
No, you don't have to put the 1. I don't remember if I put it in the options. I might just have the X, but you know that that's the same thing. Okay? All right, good question. Okay, so now we're going to transition over to equations. All right, with equations, I did strategically pick these equations. I don't remember what exactly it looks like on your midterm, but I do know that on this PowerPoint, I tried to include some of the more difficult equations. If you can solve these, then you could solve a scaled back equation. All right, so I can't guarantee you that this is the same exact type of, with a fraction type thing on your midterm, but you will have some equation problems that you're solving. All right, so let's just try to work through these equations. And remember, guys, you can check with each other. Like once you get an answer, turn to your buddy, turn to your neighbor and ask them what they got and compare your answers. Okay, so we're going to check. All right, Michael's spinning. I'm going to go ahead and explain it. Your heart still goes around the term that's connected to X. Go ahead.
Am I allowed to just like...
You can go either. No, you got to spin it. But it's not just going to stop like that anyway.
Oh,
All right. Woo! Okay, got a big number. Okay, all right, let's finish explaining the first one. So we put a heart around the X over negative 5. What did I have to do to move the plus 5? What did I do? Talk me through it.
Subtract 5 on both sides.
Yep, subtract 5. And now I have X over negative 5. I bring that down. Equals 15. Well, how do I get a negative 5 out of my denominator?
Multiply each side by
All right, multiply each side by negative 5. That cancels here. And then I bring it over to the other side. And now I'm left with X equals negative 75. Okay, great job. All right, team B. Trey, what'd you get for the second equation? X equals 2 is correct. All right, so let's walk through it, and then Trey, I'll have you spin in just a second. So 3X plus 4X. Did you guys combine like terms?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when they're on the same side of the equation, you want to combine like terms. Okay. And now we can continue solving. Subtract 12 from both sides. 7X equals 14. And just like Trey said, X equals 2. All right. Great job on that. Okay, next slide. Now we have inequalities. Now, there's a couple parts to this, okay? I want you to start off by just solving the inequality. All right? Now, obviously, I didn't pick the easiest ones I could think of, okay? But, again, if you can solve the more difficult ones, then you could very easily solve a scaled back inequality the same way. So solve the inequality, then graph your solution. So put it on a number line. I'm going to talk about the different types of questions that you're going to see on your midterm within this inequalities concept. All right, but solve it, graph it. And then the last thing is to give a value that would be a part of the solution set. So after you solve it, what would another number be that would make that inequality true? So just give me any value that would be a part of the solution set. All right. Dylan, I'm pretty sure you got this first one right. What did you get?
X is greater than or equal to negative 1.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show the steps, and then he'll come up and spin the spinner. Did you do negative 3 times 3x?
Yeah.
Negative 9x. Now, negative 3 times negative 6 is positive 18. Less than or equal to 27. What do I do next? Talk me through it.
Subtract 18.
Minus 18 on both sides. Negative 9x equals 9. Divide both, less than or equal to. Divide both sides by negative 9. Because you divided by a negative, what happens?
Flip it.
You must flip your inequality. So greater than or equal to negative 1. So open dot or closed?
Close.
Closed. And which way does your arrow go?
To the right.
To the right. Okay. So let me tell you a different way that you're going to see this type of question. If I gave you a graph, okay, if I gave you the graph of a solution, could you tell me what the solution is? Could you tell me without knowing this part, okay, let's say that you didn't know it. Could you tell me x is greater than or equal to -1? Could you read the graph?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're going to have a question very similar to that where you have to read the graph and then write the solution to the inequality. The other way you're going to see a question is I'm going to ask you a question like give a value that would be a part of the solution set. So give me a value.
2, 0.
Okay, 2, 0, literally anything that's greater than or equal to -1 would make the inequality true. So it could be any positive number, or it could be 0, or it could be -1. Could it be -2? No, it couldn't. Okay, so I'd just say 10. All right, so if I gave you 4 choices of values, would you be able to pick the value that's the solution, part of the solution set? Okay, so that type of question will be on there. Okay, solve the compound inequality. What did you guys do? Anybody on Team B want to tell me? What did you guys do? Cadence, you got it. What did you divide by?
I divided by 5.
Okay, so she divided everything by 5. Okay, and what did you get, Cadence? What's -25 divided by 5? -5 is less than x, which is less than or equal to what? 2. Okay, so that's the answer. That's it. Okay, that's the solution. You just have to get x in the middle. But now you need to put that on a graph. So which value is your lower limit? -5. Okay, which value is your upper limit? +2. All right, what number would you guys put in the middle?
0.
0 would be a good one. Okay, would it be an open dot or a closed dot on -5?
Open.
Open, and what about 2? Closed. And where does my line go? Does it go in between or does it go out? It goes in between, showing that all the numbers in between are a solution to the compound inequality. Okay, which leads me to the next question. What is a value that would be a part of this solution set? 0. What else?
2.
2 would be a part because it can be equal to 2. 1, -3. What about -5?
No.
No, -5 is not because it's open dot. It must be greater than -5. No, -4.9.
Oh.
It's got to be greater, okay? Or -4, -3, okay? So again, I might ask you this question, okay? I might give you a compound inequality and say, give me a value that's a part of this solution set. All right, so any questions? Does anybody have any questions on the inequalities? All right, so now, okay, guys, now this is your proportions review, okay? So you're going to have a question. I don't remember how many. It's at least one if it's on this review, okay? To tell whether the ratios form a proportion. Okay, so this is basically a yes or no answer, but you don't want to guess, all right? If somebody said you have a 50-50 chance on whether or not you're going to lose your pinky finger, that's not good odds, okay? So, all right? So you don't want a 50-50 chance. You want to be 100% for sure. So if you know how to do the work, okay, then you can be 100% on it. Don't want to be guessing. You think multiple choice, I can just guess, but I promise it's not going to end favorable. Okay? All right, so tell whether the ratios form a proportion. Okay. Daniel, what'd you get for your totals? Okay, so he got 1,035 and 1,080. Okay, are they equal? No, so they do not form a proportion. 1,035 does not equal 1,080. All right, good job. Okay, so this one is a little tricky because when you do your cross products, you have the x plus 2. Did you guys remember to do that as distributive property? Okay, so if you make a mistake, that's where it's going to be. Okay, so guess what? One of your options will be, if you messed up distributive property, what your answer would have been. Okay, so again, the other options on the multiple choice will be your common mistakes. Okay, so Don't mess up on that part. Now we have 5 times 12 is 60. So 6x plus 12 equals 60. What do I do next, guys? What do I do next? Subtract 12 on both sides. And 6x equals 48. All right? And that is how Destiny got 8. All right, did you guys get it? Do y'all agree?
Yeah.
You should. Okay, good job on that one. Okay, next problem. Percent problems. Percent problems. Okay, you can use either method to solve the percent problem. You could use the proportion. Okay, let's say the proportion together. A over W equals P over 100. Or you could use the percent equation. A equals P times W. All right, so either one will get you the correct answer. Go ahead and do the percent problem. And then you need to estimate the percent error. Percent error. Okay, so on the first problem, Michaela, did you use the equation or the proportion?
Both.
Use both? Okay. I use the proportion. I like the proportion when I'm solving for percent because I don't have to convert anything at the end. Okay? So I did 15 over 60. 15 over 60 equals P over 100. All right, now if you use the equation, you said 15 equals 60p. Okay? Either way, you're going to get the right answer. So on the cross products, I get 60p equals 1,500. Okay, and I divide both sides by 60. And P equals 25%. I don't have to convert anything at the end. On the equation, if I divide both sides by 60, P equaled 0.25. And then I change that to a percent. And I still get the same exact answer. All right, so either way, you're going to get the same exact answer. All right, Mikhail, come spin the spinner.
Let's go, Mikhail.
Okay, percent error. Elizabeth, what did you get for percent error? Guys, hush.
27.3.
Yes, it is 27.3. Here's the important part, though, okay? I specifically said round to the nearest tenth of a percent. So if you round incorrectly, if you say 27.2%, that's going to be a multiple choice option. There is no half credit. It's either right or wrong. Okay, so she's going to spin. Percent error equals the amount of error divided by the actual. Okay, guys. All right, let me finish explaining this. The amount of error was 110 minus 80. So the amount of error was 30 divided by the actual amount. So I'm going to have an option on your test where you divide by 80, the original amount, okay, or the estimate. That's not correct. That's how Elizabeth got, it was 27, right? 0.27? 27.27?
It was 0.2727.
Okay, yes. 0.2727. Then the fourth 7 rounds the 2 up to a 3. So percent error is approximately 27.3%, not 27.2%. So that's when you have to round correctly to choose the right choice, okay, or the right option. All right, so that's percent problems. Now let's do markups and discounts. Okay, remember a couple things. Let me just remind you of a couple things before we solve it. A equals P times W. Okay, A stands for what? The sale price. The sale price, the ending price. W stands for the original price. What value do you use for P? The amount you paid. The amount you paid. So again, on the multiple choice, I'm going to have both percentage options calculated. You have to remember it's the amount you paid, the percentage that you paid. So if it's 25% off, what percent of the original item did you pay? Okay, so the amount we paid is 80. Okay, what is the percentage that we paid? We paid 75%. it was 25% off and it started from 100%. So we paid 75% of the original item, but we don't know how much that was. So when we divide both sides by 0.75, W is approximately, we had to round to the nearest penny, $106 and what was it? 67 cents. Okay? And that is, yes, please go spin the spinner.
Yay!
Okay, you probably could still write with it. You just got to point it down. Okay, so last question, simple interest. Let's review the formula together. The formula is I, say it with me, I equals PRT. Okay, I stands for interest, P stands for principal, rate, and time in years. Okay, so remember to answer the question that is being asked. Okay, so there's different values here. There's different ways that you can make a mistake. I'm asking for the final balance. All right, so I equals 45,000. What value did you plug in for the percent?
0.05.
0.05 times 5. So one of the mistakes you can make is to plug in 0.5. Don't forget it's 0.05. What did you get for interest? Don't pack up yet. 11,000 what?
11,250.
250. So this would be another option on your answer. But is that the answer to the question? No. What do you need to do? A equals 45,000 plus 11,250. Remember, the capital A just stands for final balance. So that's going to be $56,250. Okay? And that's how you calculate final balance. And that concludes part 1 of our midterm review.